Thank you so much to everyone who understood my perspective on the First Lady of Nigeria's comments about Megan. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? What am I talking about? You're going to find out. First, let me welcome you to today's video. Welcome to Isabella Banks' YouTube channel where we discuss all things Harry, Meghan, their level up journey, and all things that are relevant to it. If you're new here, I'm Wizzy, and it's great to meet you virtually. How has your week been so far? We're going to be taking a detour today, discussing Harry and Meghan's issue with the royal family from a totally different perspective, which is the reaction of Squaddies to the First Lady of Nigerian speech, and also the reaction to my explanation of the First Lady's speech. Let's get going. Before we continue, if you're new here, please subscribe to this channel and join our membership if you care. We are aiming for 4,000 subscribers, and may I say, we are almost there. To all my dedicated subscribers, a colossal thank you for your unwavering support. Now, guys, while this controversy raged, I listened to another Sussex friendly podcast discussing this topic, and I was quite shocked and dismayed to hear statements like the First Lady is uneducated, didn't explain herself properly, must have been paid by the royal family, is jealous of Meghan, or wants a state visit. I laughed in distress as I felt my soul float out of my body. Also, feeling like I was watching myself being violated from outside of my body. What was worse was even when during the chat I offered a different explanation, I was being ignored and abused to boot. That was shock number two. I thought we were together. Now, wah. Google it if you want to know what Nawa means. The disrespect for the First Lady, the disrespect for Nigeria, the ignorance, the lack of understanding, the unwillingness to make room for language interference or cross linguistic interference was astounding to me, especially since the behavior I witnessed was the same behavior Meghan faced in the UK, which we continuously criticize the Royal Rota and the Rangers for. For those unfamiliar with language interference or cross linguistic interference, it occurs when a person's speech is influenced by their native language, cultural environment, leading to misunderstandings, even when speaking a universal language like English. And you're going to be seeing a lot of that, which you don't normally see when I'm doing my podcast, just to buttress my point. And this is the reason why I continue to insist that the First Lady did not say anything wrong and could not have said what she said any better than the way she said it, because she was thinking and delivering her English as a Nigerian English speaker. Okay? We always say the British people should have given Meghan grace, and indeed, they should have. They should have even gone over and beyond to try to smooth out the edges of the obvious culture clashes which occurred when Meghan joined the British royal family. However, what happens when we exhibit the same behavior towards people from different cultures in the name of defending Meghan? To my mind, it would have been nice to see people exercising the same restraint that we wished British royalists, monarchists, and the Rangers had shown Meghan, asking what was meant by expressions rather than jumping to conclusions, and accepting the explanations given rather than insisting on your own interpretation would have been more respectful and actually more productive to the situation. I feel this deeply because this could have been me. I do my podcast speaking my British Nigerian English, and I could have been the one criticized for not thinking or speaking in American English, or even being policed in the way I choose to support Harry and Meghan. Do you know what? I think I have actually experienced this in one podcast when I was talking about what Meghan wore to the Kinsey African Art and History collection. But at the time, I didn't realize what I was experiencing because some people in the chat accused me of being a deranger during that discussion, and I just shrugged it off, not really knowing what the person who was saying that was talking about. Now I get it. For those who don't know, Oluremi Tinubu is a titan herself. Google it. Regardless of how her and her husband came into power, she does not need Megan to trend. Trust me when I tell you that. Truth be told, she don't even want to trend. Hmm. Nigeria is a larger culture and country than many give it credit for. And that in itself is another problem. It begins to look and sound like you guys are looking down on Nigeria and its citizens, not giving them their due respect or credit. For goodness sake, we are not saying that we are America, but neither are we the naked warriors in a village, sitting down with our breast exposed, holding spears, as are often seen in movies. Oluremi Tinubu has no reason to shade Megan. In fact, Nigerians don't do shade. If they have something to say to you, they will come to you direct. And that's one of the things I have to admit that people don't like about Nigerians. But that's just the way we are. Just the way you expect people to accept Megan the way she is, so also do Nigerians have to be accepted in the way that they are. Do you guys realize that the red carpet rollout you saw in Nigeria would have been orchestrated and overseen by the very same first lady who is now being maligned, who people are saying should take Megan out of her mouth? If Harry and Meghan had been in Nigeria for official business, then you would have seen her at the gatherings because at that point they will be attending events, they will be hosting as peers. And therefore, the appropriate host for such an event would be the head of state and his first lady. Don't get it twisted. Harry and Meghan did not come to Nigeria as representatives of the royal family. Therefore, the appropriate host for their events was the person who actually invited them, which was the Ministry of Defense. If the First Lady had attended any of the events, trust and believe that the vibe would have been 10 times more luxurious than what you guys even saw. It's hard to believe because the narrative about Africa and Nigeria is that they are poor, they are disorganized, they are wretched. Anyway, let's continue. For those who say she was jealous because the kings came to Meghan, you guys have absolutely no idea. Again, in this instance, nuance is key. All Oluremi Tinubu has to do would be to send an invitation to the kings, as they would often do, really. And they appear at Asurok. Google it. Honored to have received an invitation from the First Lady of the Republic of Nigeria. When we say that the kings don't leave their palaces for anybody, we mean people, dignitaries, political rulers accord the kings their due respect because of the king's status and their influence over the people in their region. In order to maintain that respect of the kings, people culturally go to the kings. However, the president and his first lady are in a higher cadre than the kings. Therefore, if an invitation is issued, the kings are honored to accept it. But what happens most times is that invitations are not issued frequently just to maintain the respect of the kings. Because how would it look if the kings of an area are seen scraping and bowing before the president of the country? Before I move on to my next point, I would like to emphasize that I am not Oluremi Tinubu's spokesperson. I have absolutely nothing to gain from the defense of her. I am just being 100% objective, same as I would be about any person from any country. I don't even particularly like her and her husband simply because of the way they came into government. However, that's apples, this is orange. They're two separate issues. My aim in this statement is to be a bridge of understanding for those who would choose to listen, for the simple reason that I cannot continue to do what I do without acknowledging the many misconceptions that ran rampant while the storm raged. The only influence that being from the same country is having over me in this situation is my willingness to speak up, fully understanding the issues as it pertains to what the First Lady said, and also hoping that I can pierce the rage and open a doorway of understanding. Continuing on, my worry is that as Harry and Meghan attempt to make friends with different cultures to expand their branch and reach, we are going to see more of this. Are we then going to keep attacking people for how they speak, how they think, how they behave in their own culture? Are we going to tell people that they cannot exercise their freedom of speech and mention Meghan's name in a sentence because of what the British media might say? Don't you think that that would be deifying Meghan and Harry? My question, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians who probably feel now bullied into silence might feel, do people feel so free to attack and abuse the First Lady to the extent that they did because she is an African First Lady? Actually, I believe that it was innocently done because you guys don't understand how big your African brothers and sisters are. Because you're all the way in America, and the news narrative is Africa is poor, Africa is disorganized and powerless. You may say that you don't feel it, but it shows in the way you speak, the way you behave when there is any slight misunderstanding. All of a sudden, you pull rank. So, from the African person's perspective, Africa is being racially abused by black and white people. That's black on black racism. You do know that racism is a belief system or ideology that holds one race as inherently superior or inferior to another one, right? It's my belief that this is the main reason for the unspoken beef between Black Americans and Africans. Depending on how we deal with it, though, we can either communicate more and open our hearts and minds to understanding, or find that the white people win once again in our generation in their mission to continue to divide us and rule us alongside if we don't bridge the gap of understanding. We win by mutual respect and understanding and the willingness to put the work into understanding each other better. I believe that this is one of the main benefits that Prince Harry and Meghan's visits to African countries will bring, the interchange of culture and a better understanding of the pains and joys of the fullness of Black culture. If we don't, the end result will be the fans of the Sussexes isolating the Sussexes because their fans put the Sussexes on a pedestal to defend and protect them. But in so doing, you make them vulnerable when you put them above the people who are supposed to be their partners. Putting them above people you have no business putting them above is only going to result in resentment from those who would be partners with Harry and Meghan. It's fine if the Rangers do it, but when the supporters of the Sussexes do it, that's going to be a problem for the hosts and the Sussexes. For those who say Nigeria needs the Sussexes and the Sussexes don't need Nigeria, I laugh in Igbo. If you don't understand the strategic importance of Nigeria and the Nigerian military to Africa, then you really need to educate yourself. Nigeria is not called the giant of Africa for nothing, regardless of what you think of their politics at the moment. Do you really think that the Success's visit to Nigeria was not strategically planned for impact? Why do you think the British media and the derangers who know about the impact of Nigeria are so upset about the Sussex's trip to Nigeria? Certain things became clear to me during this discussion, though, and I'm glad for it as it made me aware of what I was really dealing with in this environment that I chose to operate in. I now see why we don't have as much African British Sussex friendly content creators on this platform. Anyway, I will stop my discourse there. I believe I have made my points clear. And I hope that with this, my brief explanation, I have been able to clarify the situation and not confuse you further. That is all I came on here to say. Enjoy the rest of your week. Love you all. And for those who will continue to listen to me, because I had a huge amount of people who unfollowed my channel, this is Wheezy signing out. Ireo. That is another Nigerian phrase. Please Google it.